Hey friends, welcome back to Get Down to Business. In today's competitive marketplace, many brands struggle to stand out, relying on traditional strategies that frankly no longer resonate. My guest today is here to tell us that the future of branding is emotional. I'm thrilled to introduce Kevin Perlmutter. Kevin is the chief strategist and founder of Limbic Brand Evolution, a brand strategy and neuromarketing consultancy, and he's the author of the new book, Brand Desire: Spark Customer Interest Using Emotional Insights. Kevin has over 30 years of experience, including his time as Senior Director of Brand Strategy at Interbrand. We're going to talk a lot more about Kevin's background over the next few minutes, but Kevin Perlmutter, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Kevin, your book, Brand Desire, it argues that the future of branding is emotional. So what's wrong? What's wrong with the traditional brand strategy, and why is focusing on emotional insights now more important than ever?
Well, traditional brand strategy is of a day gone past. It's rooted in persuasion era tactics that have been around since before the mobile internet, before customer experience was so important, before online reviews, and it's rooted in selling and not solving. So what I've created is an approach rooted in behavioral science and emotional insight that is all about putting emotional insight and people's emotional motivations at the center of how brands attract and retain customers.
Very, very interesting. You say that traditional brand strategy is full of details that brand leaders want to tell people, that it focuses too much on what's your why and not enough on who's your who. What do you mean by all that, and how does it limit a brand's potential?
Well, so much brand strategy work, and I started as a traditional brand strategist, and I was dealing with all of this, and soon after that experience, I was working at a sonic branding music studio where I created a research capability in partnership with some neuroscientists, and I learned about the limbic system part of our brain and how our instinctive emotional responses guide so much of our feelings and our behavior. So the problem with traditional brand strategy, first of all, is that most brand leaders are not aware about this inextricable link between our instinctive emotions and our feelings and behaviors that follow. And so many are stuck in this persuasion era that I mentioned, and that's now complicated by this bandwagon effect around what's your why. And what's your why was launched 10 or 12 years ago. It's an amazing leadership principle, but when it's conflated to become a brand strategy framework, it's half-baked because it's all about what companies want to talk about, what they want to tell people about, what they want to sell, and it's less about understanding who their customer is and what their customer cares about. It's too much what's your why and not enough who's your who.
Yeah, the title of your book and your approach are based on the concept of limbic sparks. Can you explain what the limbic system is and how brands can tap into its power to create stronger connections with customers?
Absolutely. Well, the limbic system is the part of our brain that guides emotion, motivation, behavior, and memory. And it's where so much subconscious activity takes place. When we react to something, most of the time it's instinctive and emotional, and most of what we are reacting to we're not even aware of. So what I created was Limbic Sparks Brand Strategy, which is all about creating what I call limbic sparks, which happen when emotional motivation meets brand desire. It's when a brand has you at hello because it feels like they get you. It feels like it was designed with you in mind. And it's because the brand leaders did the hard work of understanding what you're all about, what you care about in your world, and then found the relevant intersection of what they're doing in the world to make people's lives better and what people actually need, want, and desire in their life.
Yeah, and one of the core components of your Limbic Sparks brand strategy is shared emotional motivation. How can a brand discover their shared motivation, and why is it the key to igniting interest and sparking desire?
Yeah, that is one of the keys, and I'm so glad you mentioned it. The shared emotional motivation is a component of brand strategy development that does not exist in traditional brand strategy, and it's the first bookend of brand strategy in the approach that I'm recommending in my book, Brand Desire. The shared emotional motivation is found by doing deep research into not only what the brand cares about, what the brand leaders want to do in the world, but understanding through a proper approach to being inquisitive, through certain types of questioning and research, it allows you to truly understand the emotional motivations of the people who you're trying to reach. And the shared emotional motivation is what the brand and its customers are each trying to achieve independently and with each other. And when you have a shared emotional motivation as the first bookend of brand strategy, you can create the second bookend of brand strategy, or the other end of brand strategy, which is the brand idea or tagline, which traditionally can be an about us statement. We do this for you. But when it is a Limbic Sparks brand strategy tagline, it has a narrower definition. It must be a compelling brand benefit and invitation. And the only way to create a compelling brand benefit and invitation is if you understand the motivation that people want and what you can solve for them.
Amazing. The book includes real-world examples of this approach in practice. Can you share a very brief anonymized example of how a company used your Limbic Sparks brand strategy to move beyond product features and create a more desirable brand?
Yes, absolutely. There's one brand that I worked with. It's a supply chain management company. It has a SaaS platform, and they are helping warehouse managers predict accurate inventory levels for their warehouses, thousands of SKUs, multiple locations, seasonal variations. And what we learned by talking with their customers and reading reviews for how this company makes people feel, we heard that it helps them transition the way these buyers of inventory feel from being the people who sometimes get in trouble at work for having inaccurate predictions to the people who are heroes because they always have accurate information that has the right amount of inventory on the shelf.
Brand manager or small business owner listening today, what is that first step that they should take to start thinking emotionally about their brand without a large budget or a dedicated team?
It doesn't matter whether you have a large budget and a large team or no budget at all. The way to be successful in business is to understand what matters most to your customers. If you understand what they need, want, and desire, if you understand their emotional motivations in their world, you can craft your products and services and your customer experience to get them what they need in the way they need it. And I call that creating a Limbic Sparks mindset, having a Limbic Sparks mindset. Understand frustrations, motivations, and needs. How do people want to feel? Understand that. And then what should your brand do and say and do to make people's lives better?
And how does focusing on how people want to feel as the primary way to increase desire for a brand's products and services change the creative process for marketing teams and agencies?
Well, what it does is it requires you to break yourself away from traditional brand strategy and spend enough time understanding what people care about. Because the only way to address how they want to feel is if you truly understand how they want to feel. You need to go beyond the surface of gut instinct and trends and projections and surface level information about generic audiences and actually talk with the customers that your brand is for, who your brand is for, and understand what they care about. And when you do that, insights can emerge.
And Kevin, we're coming close to the end of our time together. What's the one thing that you hope every leader, from CEOs to students, take away from brand desire?
I want them to realize that this is a modern day approach to brand strategy. It is rooted in behavioral science. It is the way to attract and retain customers. And it's just about changing your perspective and approach. It's not about more investment. It's about a more effective way forward.
This is powerful, powerful stuff. So again, we love to leave people with a homework assignment. You've already started talking about that step. But again, for those small business owners that are tuning in, I know you've been in those shoes before. You've been involved in startups. What's that one thing that you want people to know, or maybe just that they should think about, even zooming out from brand desire over here, that you just want them to know about the small business process?
I want them to know that that marketing can be more effective for you when you focus on the customer experience and you answer this one question. You address this one question, which is, how do people want to feel? And let the answer be your guide. If it comes down to one thing, think about how people want to feel. Adjust your marketing, your customer experience to make sure that they can feel that way. And usually they want to feel good. You can get more specific than that if you look into it.
Amazing. So where can our listeners find your book and learn more about Limbic brand evolution?
Well, Brand Desire is available at any online bookstore. You can go to branddesirebook.com to find out more details about exactly what's inside, to click on a few links for where you might be able to purchase it and get a discount code from at least one of them.
Amazing. Kevin Perlmutter, thank you so much for this eye-opening conversation. Listeners, be sure to check out his new book, Brand Desire: Spark Customer Interest Using Emotional Insights. It's just out. And I've certainly enjoyed all of our conversations today. We've packed it in with some amazing conversations, talking all about social media. We've talked about marketing. We've talked all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. That's what we do each and every week. By the way, I respond to every single message that comes into my inbox via SYKLEIN, syklein.com. Be sure to get in touch with me. I'd love to hear what you think. What are the topics you think we should be diving into? And as always, make sure you get on your favorite podcast app. Just search for Get Down to Business. But friends, make sure you subscribe, rate, review, and share. To success, let's get down to business. See you next week.